What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with IndustrialCraft 2. Now today, guys, we are going to get some automated mining going using the miner. Now a couple of you guys suggested that I do this, and it seems like a pretty good idea since I am burning through a lot of different ores when I'm building stuff. So I went and I started looking into the miner and constructing a couple of the pieces that we're going to need to actually build the stuff today. And if we look in this chest, there's some of the things that we're going to need. So it is actually kind of expensive to get it running. You don't just throw the miner down and power it. Or I guess you could, but it's really not going to work that well. So we're going to go over all the different things that we could possibly need to do to make sure that the miner is functioning, has power, and is going to be able to continue running and get the most out of it. So I'm going to grab everything from this chest, and we're going to actually start constructing it. Now, I did make all this stuff so you guys could get a general sense of how expensive it is. And along with that, it's just going to kind of help streamline the process so that we're not crafting all the time. So first things first, we need to get the miner. Now in the experimental version, which is the one that I am playing, you have the miner and then you have the advanced miner. Now we are not going to be anywhere close to using the advanced miner, but it's got, different settings that you can add onto it, and it's just more effective. You can whitelist, blacklist stuff. So eventually we will get into that, but for now we're going to stick to the regular miner, which is relatively cheap. It takes one mining pipe, one basic machine casing, and then 2 electronic circuits and a chest. So we can grab that. And we now have the miner, so we actually have the thing that does the mining, but now there's a couple different upgrades that we're going to be making to this. So, I guess we can throw this down and I can show you guys real quick. So if we throw down the miner and we click on it, you can see that there's a lot of different stuff going on in here. So right in the center of the UI, that is where like the internal storage is. That's where all the stuff that gets mined by it is going to go. And then you can see over here, starting from the top, you're going to have the drill, which you can just have a regular mining drill, or you could have a diamond mining drill. Then the next one is where your pipes are going to go, and then the next one is where your scanner can go. Now you don't need the drill and you don't need the scanner, but you do need the pipe. So it essentially bores a hole and sends the pipe down it. But we're going to be making a regular drill and we're going to be making a regular OD scanner. So essentially what the scanner does is it allows for you to get ores in a 5x5 area instead of just the single block down. And then an OV scanner, which is, it obviously burns through more energy, is going to allow you to get it in a 9x9 area. So we're going to go in and we can go to the OV scanner, and you can see it's right here. It does have power storage in it. And what this can be used for is essentially, if you just have this as a block, you can go anywhere and you can click, and that area around you, it will go all the way down and it'll scan the blocks and come back with a value based on how much stuff there is actually in that area. So if you were trying to find an ideal place, you know what, I typed OV, we want OD. But if you were trying to find an ideal place to put the miner, you could go around a little bit with this, click it, see when you get the best value, and then you could put the miner down there, and it would hopefully get you the best resources. So I did have to take a trip to the nether, and it doesn't look like this is going to work with us shift clicking stuff in there, but we can just go like this and just get it so that we can see what's going on. So we have the electronic circuits. Oh, it's because of the battery. Forgot about that. Okay, so there we go. So we got the OD scanner, and if we come over here and if I were to shift click it in, you can see it fills in this slot right here, and it's pretty obvious considering it's got like an outline of the actual thing right there. Then next thing we're going to do is make the drill. So if we go over to drill, you can see that there's 2 different kinds. You have the regular mining drill, and then you have the diamond drill. And of course, the mining drill is less expensive than this, but less effective. So we can click on this, and it actually doesn't look that expensive here, but you do have to make a power unit, which requires some batteries, electronic circuit, and the motor. I already did all that though, because it's just kind of some tedious crafting you have to do. So we're just going to make this, and now we have the mining drill. Meet the dentist. Okay, so there we go. So you can see both of these are in here, and we now have the mining pipe we can click in there. So now this whole portion is filled, so we could actually turn this thing on right now. We do not want to do that. By turning it on, I mean we could actually give it power and it would start running, but we're not going to do that right over here. I actually think we're going to go probably right over there and start running it. So I'm not going to break this with a pick. I'm going to break it with the wrench so that we get it back. And one thing I want to say is that I have been working on upgrading the cactus farm. It is working nicely. I burned through a lot of power when I was actually making all this because I did make the metal former finally, and this thing does use a lot of power when you're trying to form a lot of metal. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out. I know you guys said that I should make the metal former as like one of the first things that I actually construct, considering it's really helpful and you don't need to keep making all the different tools to, you know, make the plates or make the wires or whatever. So it's also nice because I did need to make some, is it like cans out of tin, or the cells. I did make cells, and the only way to make that, as far as I'm aware, is to use, oh, that's, no, that's not what we want. We want this one. Okay, so the only way to make that is through a metal former. There's no other way, as far as I'm aware, so I did kind of get forced into making it, but that doesn't matter at all. Okay, so we get the miner out, and it's going to go in a 5x5 area, so I'm just going to throw it down right here, and of course it'll do, you know, it doesn't matter if that's there, but it's going to do from here all the way over to like that, and then all the way over to here, so in that area. So it actually, I don't think it's going to have enough mining pipe to get all the way down. We only have, where is it, 53, so it's not going to get all the way down to bedrock. It'll be like really, really close, but we'll throw in the mining drill, we'll throw in the scanner, and we're going to have to start giving this thing power. And right now it should be using roughly 2 to 3 EU per tick. With the mining drill in it and the OD scanner, it should be using 2 to 3 EU per tick. And it might take longer because it's going to start filling these internal buffers up, so it might not be running at full capacity while it's trying to fill those up, or they may never get filled. I don't know what it'll prioritize, but eventually when you start putting in the OV scanner and the diamond mining drill, you can get all the way up to like 20 to 40 EU per tick, and of course with the advanced miner you can get even higher than that. So we're going to start by putting these solar panels down right back here and wiring them up. So we can click on this, and yeah, you can see that this is getting power now, but it isn't actually running. It's not going to start running until you actually start getting both of these fully powered up, which is a little bit unfortunate considering it's going to take a really long time to actually fully power these using the solar panels. But once they do get fully powered, we should be on pretty good track to actually getting the system up and running consistently. So another thing that I want to set up now is going to be the pump. And the main reason you need a pump is because if the miner runs into any liquid, lava, water, anything like that, it's going to stop. And the chances that it runs into lava, once it gets down pretty low, are relatively high. But the chances it runs into water is actually probably pretty high over here because there's a massive cave system under this area that's got a ton of water in it. So I don't want to risk running into water and having this thing shut off when I actually think it's supposed to be running. So I am going to throw the pump down right next to it, and that's all you have to do. If you have the pump right next to the miner, if it ever runs into anything, it will pump it up into the pump, assuming it has power. And, you know, of course, it doesn't really matter that we only have 3 EU per tick coming in max over here, and this is using 3 EU per tick. If this thing slows down a little bit while this finishes pumping out the water and refilling, that's perfectly okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on to this thing right here, because it can pump out 2 different types of fluids, and it only has an internal storage of 1. So, you know, if it pumps water and then it hits lava, it's not going to be able to pump that out. So we are going to put in the fluid ejector upgrade, which says automatically output to the first valid side. So I don't really know how it determines the first valid side, you know, with air quotes, but the way I got around that is by having the geothermal generator, which is going to go right over here, and then I wanted to, and I think we'll go back over and do it, I wanted to make the solar distiller. So it's actually relatively cheap. It takes a machine casing, 2 universal fluid cells, and then you've got glass. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to have one side that can output to water, and lava cannot go over there, and then the geothermal generator is going to output only lava into it, and you're not going to be able to have water going into this. So I'm actually going to break this and replace it over here, and then I'm going to break this and replace it over there too, just so that we can maximize the amount of cable that we have. So like this, and this will then just output power and hopefully help fill up all of this when it's good to go. Eventually I might add like a bat box or something just to give a little bit of a buffer in case we get a ton of lava, but I don't think we will. So while this thing is filling up, we are going to go back over and we are going to make the solar distiller. Now, you might be wondering why I want to make the solar distiller, but it is mainly because we're going to be using that to make coolant cells. And those will be a big thing later. We don't really need them that much now, but if we want to make like overclockers, we're going to need it, and we're going to need that eventually once we get a little bit of a better power source going for all of our machines. We're going to want to put as many upgrades in them as possible. So I thought I had most of the stuff in here, but I'm realizing now that these are empty cells instead of the universal fluid cells that we're going to need. So I do need to get some tin casing and a glass pane, but that should not be that bad to make. So I need to cook down 6 more sand, and yeah, these are just empty cells, which we're not going to use. And then if we need to make 2 of them, that means that I'm going to need 1 and then 2, so we need to get 3 of these going. And you can see I do have an okay amount of resources here, but I'm really running low on iron. That's the big thing that's killing me. So we'll have those set to roll, and then we can go to the electric furnace and have the sand cook down in there. And you can see that this thing actually isn't super fast, which is one part that actually, you know, it bothers me a little bit. It's not a super huge issue, but it is a little bit annoying. But yeah, so the solar distiller then we'll just make into, or we'll use what it outputs to make coolant cells like this. And then if you look at the different uses, you can see making overclocker upgrades. You can make a 10K coolant cell from a 10K coolant cell. And then, of course, you make the 30K, which goes all the way up to the 60K. And I'm not sure if these other ones have uses. Obviously, you use them just on their own. But, okay, it always gets glitchy like that. Okay, so we can now go over here and make the panes. And we'll have the 5 left over we need. And, oh, you know what? I guess did I use the machine casing? I feel like I had a machine casing over here, but I might have used it. So I'm going to sleep, and then I'll try and figure out what's going on with that. The only problem is I don't have any leftover iron right now, because I thought I had all the stuff that I needed. I guess not. Okay, so I may actually have to jump off camera here, guys, and go and get a little bit more iron so that I can finish making this, and then we will jump back when we can set up the solar distiller, and hopefully I will have those powered so we can see the whole thing running. Okay guys, so we are back, and now I should be good to go with the solar distiller. So we have the 8 iron plates that we're going to need, and we can use this to make the basic machine casing. And then with this, we can take the 2 universal fluid cells, put those down there, and put the, what is it, glass on the top. And the last thing that we are going to need is the, let's get this up. Oh, it's like this. Okay, so whoops. So we have the universal fluid cells like this. They don't stack on. That's so weird. Okay, so there we go. There's the solar distiller. And I did grab a couple buckets of lava just so that we can come back over here, throw them in the geothermal generator, and hopefully speed up the process a little bit so that we can see the system running, and maybe even see if water or lava does go into it. Probably water, because it's not going to get down to lava that quick. But if we look over here, okay, so the OD scanner is almost completely full. Still a little bit slow. But if we take the 3 lava buckets and throw them in here, this will start running. And yeah, okay, so that speeds up the process a lot. And I don't know if that'll get us all the way to being a full mining drill, but it'll get us pretty close. So the next thing we're going to do is, since this has the fluid ejector upgrade, I assume that that means that if we have 1 valid output for water and 1 valid output for lava, that it will automatically eject those 2 into the correct areas, because obviously, if it tries to eject water into the geothermal generator, it won't be able to do that. And if it tries to put lava into the solar distiller, that won't happen either. But the main concern I have is that it's going to try, and when it fails, it's not going to look for another option. But because it does say outputs to the first valid side, that seems like a pretty good sign that it should work. So I think we should be able to just throw the solar distiller down here. And it is the solar distiller, so it actually doesn't need power. Like if I were to, let me get my wrench out. So if I were to take this and I were to wrench it and come over here and throw it down, you can see that it doesn't even connect here. So it's perfectly fine to throw right here, unlike the geothermal generator, which we do need to connect here so that it can send power. Okay, so this one, yeah, the lava pretty much got us all the way through, so we just have to wait for a little bit. Oh man, but the sun's going down. Okay, so we're going to quickly run over and we're going to sleep. Mainly because I wouldn't mind being out at night, or just chilling over there on the off chance that it does finish getting the power, but I don't have any armor right now, and I have a stone sword. So recently, the way I've survived is just been avoiding stuff, staying in this little area over here that's lit up nice enough that nothing really spawns, but I have died a couple times. I will note that. I did remove 1 death spot where I actually was AFK over there, and I got killed. So that was a sign that I needed to light it up a little bit better. But let's check this and see. Okay, so it looks like it's trying to get powered, but there isn't quite enough. That's so weird. So it is going. It looks like I might need to add another solar panel to this. I don't even know if these are running at maximum efficiency yet because the sun isn't as high as it needs to be. But that looks like it is having a rough time. So I was able to make it down one dirt block, and if I were to get rid of this dirt block right here, you can see that it does lay down the mining pipe. Oh, and there we go again. So there's another one. And it'll keep going down and trying to get the ore, and then of course it'll put it in here. And then if I wanted to, I would just have to come over here and grab all the stuff out. You can add the ejector upgrade to it, and pulling upgrade, and the ejector upgrade would of course make it so that it would eject into a chest if you had that, which would be very nice, but I'm not too worried considering it's really close to the base, so I can just come back over. But yeah, it does look like it's having a rough time with power, so I would probably need 1 or 2 more solar panels to be comfortable with it, or of course a different kind of power generation. But hopefully you guys get the idea as to how it works, and hopefully if I leave it over here long enough, even if I don't mess with the power, it will eventually be able to mine some stuff. So just remember to make sure you have enough mining pipes at a minimum to get where you need to go. And then of course a luxury would be the OD scanner and the mining drill, or of course the diamond mining drill and the OV scanner. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did find it useful or informative or entertaining in any way, shape, or form, feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to post them in the comments. I'm here to help you guys, so I will do my best, and I will talk to you guys later.